Hello and welcome to week 2 of my Java certification. If you haven't seen week 1 yet, I recommend you go check that out because I will be jumping right back into what I learned in week 1 to week 2, which after week 1 I finished the conditional and loops, which I started in week 1. I finished that, and then I got to the conditional and loops code project, the loan calculator, where I took everything I learned about if statements, else statements, for statements, which we can see what I did here. This loan calculator, basically, they wanted a program that would take a loan and then it would calculate how much you'd still owe if you paid 10% of that loan every month for 3 months, how much you'd still owe, which that's what this program does. And so yeah, and then so once I was done with the conditional and loops, I moved on to the arrays section of my Java certification, and I actually did finish that up. It was a shorter section of the of what I was learning, which so let's see here. What I learned is that arrays store multiple values within a single variable, which are very useful. And then a little note I made is that the first number or the first value stored in the array is actually of the index of 0 instead of 1. It's not the first, it's the 0th, which is kind of funny, and you gotta be able to remember that, or else you'll get confused when programming stuff. You can use the dot length to find out how many values are stored within the array. So if you want to know how, let's say you have an array that has a length of 3, and you want to get that within your code, you can do array.length to get the length of that for whatever you may need it for. And enhanced loops are a different form of for loops, and they actually reduce the number of bugs and are easier for people who don't know how to program. It's easier for them to read what's going on within the program, which is actually pretty nice. So I learned about enhanced loops, and lastly, I learned about multi-dimensional arrays, which is just, well, an array of arrays. So basically, you have an array, and within that array, you have an array of values. So it's a lot to wrap your head around at first, but if you really think about it, it makes sense. And so I did the array code project, which is reverse a string, which basically you take the every single character within the it takes every single character and puts it into array that you input, and then you output every single character except you reverse it. So what happens is there's this for loop here where it lasts as long as the length of the array, and then it adds to the output each character except in the reverse order, and then it outputs that output, which reverses the string that you input originally. And then so I decided to make a little program of my own to show off some more stuff that I learned, which I wanted to show off those multi-dimensional arrays because I honestly think those are really cool. So as we see here, I have a scanner that asks for some input from the user, which it'll ask for a number. And then I have I have a multi-dimensional array of type string called R, which is basically just short for array. And within this, you can see I have two arrays, and within each array, I have two messages that it can send. So depending on it checks what the user input, and if the number is bigger than the array.length, it'll 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 send out it'll check whether it's a multiple of 2, and it'll print out 1 1, which if we check what's 1 1, we can go to this is the 0th, so we can go to the first, which is this one, and then and then this is the index of 1. So within the index of 1 1, it should print message hello. So if we run this and we can type in a number that is a multiple of 2 that is bigger than the array.length, which 4 fits that criteria, we can see it'll print message hello. And then if we do the same thing except input 5, it'll do message hi, because it is not a multiple of 2, but it is still bigger than the array.length. So if we don't input a number that is bigger than the array length, say 1, which the array length is 2, it'll print a secret message, which this tells me that I am awesome. Or maybe it's telling the viewer, you, that you are awesome. Or maybe we can just agree that we're both awesome. So, yeah, and then so if you specifically input 1, then it'll do you're awesome. But if you do 0 or a negative number, it'll print you're cool. And that is my video showing what I have learned for week 2 of my Java certification. Thank you for watching.